everybody, and welcome to Take a Pause with Menopause, where we will talk about the pause in all of her glory and not so glory. But it'll be a conversation that will be honest, will be real, and funny,
It's
because
always funny. This it's hilarious.
it is funny. I mean, we have to find humor in what's exactly happening to us. I mean, do we really know what's happening to us? But we'll laugh along the way. So,
Indeed.
yeah. So I'm happy to have my co-host and partner in menopause, Raquel. Hello, Raquel.
Hello.
And today we are excited. We are joined by two lovely women, as you can see. We have Michelle Renee Ventura, who is a transformational therapist and owner of Wholistic Wellness Center. Hello, Michelle.
In Reno,
Renee.
Nevada.
In Reno.
Gotta
Forgot
give a
that.
shout out.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Yes,
Me being the only one on the East Coast, it's lonely over here at the
it
bottom
is.
square. And
We
then
miss you, Mayor.
yeah, thanks. And then we have Marina Ejova, who is a women's empowerment and somatic coach. Welcome.
And we're really excited to have this conversation, ladies. This is gonna be an interesting one.
It's going to be interesting because we're going to talk first. We'll find out all about you girls and find out about your journey with the pause, but also we're going to try to find out why we get a little
Ragey.
ragey. Yeah, that is a.
Right.
I was
Sweet.
like, what's a nice way of saying it? No, rage is really it's not anger. It's not dislike. It goes from you're normal to you are like on the scale of like 500. And
And
then
you're
you're
just sitting
back to
there, and all of a
normal.
sudden you're just like, "Arr."
Yeah, it could be anything. So we'll find out how that is, how you guys are all making out with that. So welcome, and I don't care whoever goes first. You can let us know, and
Well, I'm curious to hear about your journey. Like, let's talk about where you guys are. Who and where are you in your journey with perimenopause, menopause, and how did you guys get through that?
Well, so I'd love to bring up how, gosh, Marina, what was it, 2 years ago when she was going through a series of really traumatic events that was bringing up grief. And same for me, just in different storylines. And from that grief was coming with rage and anger. And so we started talking about how can we bring women together to talk about this, especially the hormonal changes that we're going through, and let's have these open conversations. And so then we started talking about, well, let's bring wise women together, wise women ways, because we're no longer living in community anymore. So let's talk about the hard stuff. And then as I'm going through this process, it was probably maybe 6 months ago, I started going through the threshold of some really intense rage. And so then it catalyzed me to again have more conversations and gather women together and talk about what's really effing hard right now and why are we so angry? And there's a whole list of
Everything,
things.
Michelle,
Yeah.
everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 There is a whole list of it. You're right.
There's more than
Yeah.
50 things that are on that list.
Yeah, yeah,
Rage is one of them. It's down at the
yeah.
bottom, but it is
Yeah.
there.
It should be closer to the top. I think I read something recently that said, any kind of trauma that you have tried to suppress, any kind of anything that you've suppressed your entire life, grief, trauma, frustrations, relationship issues, whatever, that all surfaces during perimenopause. I wish I had known that going in. I wish I actually had known I was in perimenopause, period, because I
Well,
probably would have done a lot of things differently.
yeah, there's that.
Yeah. But, not knowing what you're faced with because you have suppressed it and you have like forgotten about it in your mind, although your body carries all of those things. Like, there's so many things that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And like being strong enough mentally to be able to like compartmentalize that and like really sit with it that's been a struggle, I did hire a therapist at one point, but I don't know that I got out of it what I was hoping for. So it's been kind of like, okay, I'm doing this, and I do a lot of self-help and I do a lot of reading, but I'm curious how women out there can help themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also
Right.
curious too that your holistic wellness center. What do
Yeah.
you yes, I love
Yeah.
it because it's
So
spelled WH instead of I
yeah,
just love it like
the whole person.
the whole
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I opened
Mhm.
it 3 years ago and It was a passion project that was inspired by wanting to bring community together and just to get real with each other. And Marina and I have talked about this too, how we go into these spiritual communities and it's really fluffy. It's very sweet and it's really fluffy and people can't feel like it's
Yeah.
accessible. Spirituality isn't accessible.
Mhm.
So then I
Yeah.
wanted to open a center where people from different walks of life, different ethnicities, different sexual orientation can come together and just be real, just be authentic. Yeah.
Just be real. Yeah,
Just be real,
that's
y'all.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
How
love it.
about you, Marina?
Yeah, I want to jump in here and like, yeah, dial into that. So my story started when I went into like what I thought was a midlife crisis. Before that, everything was just perfect. I have a
Right.
beautiful daughter, a marriage. I'm leading these goddess retreats and really connected to my community. And all of a sudden, I encountered like life's traumatic events, like 2 evacuations from the fires and floods. And I think that's what triggered my early perimenopause. So I went into it, I was probably like 39 or something.
Wow. Wow.
The
Okay.
symptoms are there's so many, there's so various of them, right? So many, so it's really hard
Yeah.
to pinpoint. And it's
And we're
really
so
through
good as women to like not address those.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And as women, like we wear so many masks, so many hats. We're like the good mom, the good daughter, the good sister, the good friend, the good everything. Like, we're fine at life, So
Yeah.
I think that's where like really leaning into sisterhood with Michelle, with our community and having these circular conversations with women that's what's been really helping and supportive. I've done goddess festivals too, where we camp out. We do this camp out in the woods for 4 days, 4 nights with the little girls and the elders too. And you can't really escape yourself. It's not like you go into a yoga class and you come out with a big smile. But over there, like you're going to get tired, hungry, angry, triggered by someone who is like got their stuff together or more pretty or moving more wildly or like, skinny or what. There's a bunch of opportunities and specifically like we include workshops or conversations on rage, on sadness, on emotional stuff. So there's opportunities for people to grieve, to cry, to dance, to stomp it out and to access that world, not just from their words, but like let their bodies really speak and feel
I
and
do
move.
love that.
Yeah.
I remember a point in my, early when I had no idea what was going on and I had experienced my first panic attack and like the anxiety was emitting off of me like an AT&T tower. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come out of my skin at any minute. And I remember telling a friend of mine, like, yeah, that's easy for you to say, but I'm stuck in this body. Like, I'm stuck listening to myself right now. And I was serious. Like, I was like, oh, I was a little angry about it, but it was a really ugly thing to be like, knowing that you're stuck with those thoughts and being stuck in that body and you can't escape it. Any other situation you can run from, you can hide from, you can just ignore, but when it's your own internal voice, it's coming in hot.
Yeah. And if
So
you're
I really
like
appreciate that. Yeah.
if you're out camping and you put into the whole thing, the elements, the hungry,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? Maybe you just want some
Add some hanger
quiet
in
and
there.
somebody's talking more and you're like, I just want to now be by myself.
And it's just such deep conditioning of how we've glorified listening to the mind and having the next answer everywhere, like whether it's YouTube, Google, the next book. And
Yeah.
with this journey, there is no next thing or the one thing that's going to fix it. So I think my approach is like we must enter it through the body. And the more
Mhm.
we deny it, the worse and the longer it's going to get.
Yeah.
We got to really start listening to the whispers. And if we don't listen to the whispers, they become loud screams. So the body is tremendously intelligent and it's not our fault. So let's not put an extra thing to make ourselves wrong that we are not
Yeah.
listening to the body. We've never been told and showed how to do that, right? So
It was
it's just
never a
normal.
skill that I knew. And I did ultimately end up screaming, like, in a pillow or in a bed, in my car. I still do occasionally, just, when you're just at that overload point and you're just like, I has nowhere else to go but out.
It is because I think it is just your nervous system. Yeah, same, same. And your nervous system is just so overworked, like
Mhm.
overstimulated. I went from never using that word to using it like all the time. I'm like, well, I'm just too overstimulated.
You've
Like
clearly
obviously,
hyperstimulated me.
it's like, and you don't even realize. But it's like crazy in the sense, like, you try to channel, but I think it's just because there's so many different people telling you what to do, what not to do, what you should feel, how you're too young to be feeling this. It can't be menopause. You're too young. Oh, it's just hot flashes.
Yeah.
So it's that whole circle, like that little whirlwind that's like outside of you, like a tornado of, well, I'm just by myself. Now I am by myself because nobody understands what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
The docs don't know what's going on. Obviously, I'm too young for it, even though I wasn't. I
Did
was
you
in
guys look
perimenopause.
around at people and think things like, I'm so irritated. Like, I know I'm by myself. Like, I know you're here, but I'm really by myself. Did you guys find yourself doing that? I feel like I did. I found this time where I was just like, I knew my husband couldn't help me. I knew my kids couldn't help me. And I just was so isolated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really. Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
this is good
I
what you
wish you could see. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish you could see my front porch because I have a bench out there and I have a pillow that says fresh out of fucks. And I have a ring camera. I have a ring camera and the UPS drivers and the Amazon drivers, that when they're putting it down, they turn to the right and I will always hear them like chuckle. They're like, like they look at it, and I had a woman, Amazon driver, she like gave it a thumbs up and I was like, that's right. Like, it's like funny. Like, you're coming. I appreciate you delivering all of my stuff. But yes, yeah. So
Shout
I
today.
fresh out to a pillow. Yeah. I have it on a pillow. I love it.
That's awesome. It's almost like giving someone permission to also tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure Mare has the link. She's such a good shopper.
I kind of wanted to set
Right. Could you put that in email, please? So back to
Marina,
rage.
what
I
was
think.
it?
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah.
Marina.
I wanted to take this to like historically, if we look at it from an energetic standpoint and from a shamanic perspective, because we also like invite the different elements to come in the trajectory of our life, like what happens when we are in these like 4 phases of life. There's the maiden phase, and where we go out, we make mistakes, we're learning, and then there's this like the two out of phases is either the huntress archetype or the lover. So we again go out and we pour our energy into love or
Hmm.
marriages and
Hmm.
families or work really hard to someday one day receive the trophy or retire or right? Like once you raise your children or you are that good
Yeah.
wife, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
something is gonna happen.
Right.
And that's that point of like, our late 40s, 50s, like we arrive. And at that stage of this life, that's the menopause stage. And that's the stage where energetically, shamanically, we're supposed to be in our fullest power, taking that tall seat, the throne. And like really looking at society is like rarely are women really there with
Yeah.
appreciation and gratitude. Like, wow, thank you for all your work, for who you are and all that you do. Very often there's like more to do, and there's always that sense of not enoughness. So yeah, there's this
Yeah.
like shame from the society, shame from the systems, the relationships, the families, the work. Like it's never enough. We live in this like rat race society here in North America too, where like there's always more. And when we arrive to the stage, we don't have like the physical energy for it. Our hormones are all over the place. And like mentally, we're not really supported to be fully celebrated, to be in that tall, like high seat of our power. So no
Yeah.
kidding, everything just like it's like a big volcano.
Imploded.
This is a false promise here. So we get somewhere and like there is no party, there is no cruise, there is no vacation or satisfaction.
Keep looking for it though. I'm not kidding. I keep waiting for that one big thing. Like, oh my God, that's it. Oh my God. Like red carpet or so. I don't know. I don't know. But then like what happens next? You just wake up the next day
Yeah.
and you're back to just normal?
Well, no, I think though too, like you feel like totally like I get that, like, because, you're like, oh my gosh, like just in like I'm a nurse. So it's like you just look at like nurse, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be, management or whatever. And then your body betrays you by giving you this lovely thing called brain fog. And you're like, what is that thing? That thing that I need. And it's like, then people look at you and you're like, oh my God. So then instead of like standing up for yourself and being like, hey, I know more than you'll ever forget, right? I tried saying that to somebody one time, but they didn't get it and I laughed all the way. But instead of that, I did. But instead of that, you shrink yourself, you know what I mean? Because you don't, you now you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I don't know it. So instead of
Yes.
like standing up for yourself and realizing, hey, it's hormones, which now hopefully women will, since it's starting to come out more and more that people are talking about it more. But, for me, this, was happening like 3 years ago and it still wasn't talked about. And so you just end up shrinking yourself. So
Exactly.
you don't put yourself on that throne because you don't want somebody to ask you a question you can't readily answer or look confident doing. So, unfortunately, that's what happens. So, I'm hoping that now women stop shrinking themselves and be like, hey, I know it. Just give me a minute.
Right.
Just one little minute to get that word that I'm trying to figure out. And
And
then
I
we'll
don't even
be
know if it's
good.
shrinking. Sorry, Mary. I don't even know if it's shrinking. I think it's just like saying, speaking up, just having that voice that you never had before. Like, to me, that's so important because I've debated with myself, like, do I say something? Should I not? I don't know. This feels weird because creating a boundary always feels weird, right? Like, because that's something new that our nervous system doesn't know about. So, yeah, it's a hard thing to learn.
Yeah.
Raquel, I want to highlight this. This is a point where I think this place where like I can no longer tolerate all the BS and the broken boundaries and the
Yeah.
maybes and the shoulds that I've tolerated all my life. And that's why it's so hard because if we've done it for 40 years
Yeah.
in different phases of our life, we don't just get here in this one moment and all of a sudden we're like, I know
Right.
what I want. I know what I need. I'm the queen of my life. Give me space. Get out of my way. I know. It's
Not
wild
quite that pretty.
and it doesn't look pretty. So it erupts like a volcano sometimes. These like, anger, rage like come out. It's because we've self-betrayed ourselves our entire life to be
Yeah.
the good girl, to be the good wife, to fit the society for all the good reasons. But unfortunately, we put ourselves last sometimes. And this is
Hmm.
the
It was,
time everything in our body goes, you got to put yourself first. Because if you don't, all you got
yeah,
is all you got is you right now.
I know.
Yes, it's true.
I remember my kids being they really struggled with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, go ahead, Michelle.
You're okay.
Occasional freeze.
We're an
You're
occasional,
good.
and we're
You're
going to
good.
blame it on the streaming, and we won't say what streaming it is, but keep going. We'll go. It's all good. That's what women do, Michelle. We just push right through.
Point in case.
There's
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's amazing. It is so true because, you do have to sort of forget what you've been told through the years of should. And I read a book, and I don't know if it was actual Mel Robbins or what, but I too, like Raquel, like every self help book and, to
No,
try to have you figure out I read.
you have
And
read so many more books than I had because I was, I was reading like Dean Koontz. So I was in
yeah,
like murder
same,
mystery,
same. But now,
but
yeah,
now I'm like self help.
self help. Yes. But, they said, like, take the word should out of your vocabulary because when you use it, it's guilt, right? Like, I should go to the store today, even though I am exhausted and I just worked 3 12 hours. You know what I mean? Like, you should, no, you can, it's okay to just stay home and veg on the sofa, but it's like, I should do this. Anytime that I would catch myself saying should, I was guilting myself into doing something I did not want to do. So it took me over a year to stop saying that. I mean, it sounds simple. It took me over a year. I was like, what is that? Because as soon as I would be in an uncomfortable situation where I had to choose between what I wanted to do and what other people wanted me to do, I would be like, oh, well, I should go. And then I would go, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'd be sitting in the car, like screaming, like, I didn't want to go, So
And
it's
just
like,
resentful the whole time.
yeah.
I read a cool
So
quote the
take
other day.
those
I'm sorry,
words
Mary, go
should
ahead.
out.
Yeah. And I read a cool quote the other day that said,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Don't should all
basically,
over yourself. Exactly.
I can't remember the quote, but so go on. If it
Okay, go
comes
ahead.
back, I'll
Okay.
jump back in. I'm sorry.
Marina.
is
It was so important.
every time we should on ourselves, every time we do something instead of tapping into what do I really want or what does my body need? Maybe I need a nap. And it's a
Yes.
culture of productivity too, right? How productive is a nap? How productive is, all those things. That's a whole lot of conversation of why are we conditioned to do things that, are not really good and aligned with us. It
Yeah.
creates this
Yeah.
sense of resentment and anger, right?
Hmm.
And it comes out like little fireballs,
Ye
throwing them either at other people or ourselves, but like where we don't recognize ourselves. And this is what happens when we go against ourselves.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So, what Michelle just said, from that whole journey through archetypes to our wild, sensual, authentic, fully expressed woman, the road to that expression might be a little choppy. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay because, we're learning how to do that. If we haven't, again, expressed our full desires and boundaries, it gets a
Yeah.
little choppy. And sometimes I also want to name like the nervous system responds very often when we are in that triggered response or our bodies are tight, almost like that semi-trauma response, almost like a mini, and
Yeah.
that we're like fight, flight, freeze. And the worst for women, and the most common one is fawn. We start fawning. We just put the good girl smile on and we go, I'm fine. I'm just gonna handle it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
It
been there.
scares me the most when I see people like when my girlfriends be like, "I'm fine," and I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
God," and I always I'm like, "No, let's just understand she's not fine," and they're like, "No, I'm fine there," and I was like, "Okay, just the way you're saying it is you're not fine, girl," and it's like you need that girlfriend to just like pat you on the head, like you're not fine, you're not fine,
They
just
say your nervous system doesn't know the difference between, like, being fine or being chased by a lion, so,
yeah.
just let's let's keep that fight or
I
flight down.
Maybe that's one of the words we can also eliminate from our vocabulary. Just understood.
Yeah,
I'm fine. Like,
fine.
it's still fine, which doesn't actually like measure or tell me anything at all.
Nobody is ever fine. There's like nobody. If you have to ask if somebody's okay and they say they're fine, you know the answer already. Like, don't even answer.
Yeah,
I would
don't even
rather
say
you
it.
say, no, I'm shitty. I'm shitty right now. And
Yeah,
you're like,
just be
okay,
honest with me, for real. Yeah, well, it's like the word normal, right? Like, how do you even define normal? Like, that's a whole different, like, rabbit hole, but yes.
Sitting on the washing machine. Well, and here's the thing, I want to bring it to like practical tools for people is
Mhm.
once you catch your nervous system, right? Whether it's your teenagers that are, creating something at in the house, or your nervous system is in that trauma response, whether it's big capital trauma or small T trauma. But
Yeah.
once we catch ourselves in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, whether it's immediate or 20 minutes later or an hour later, I invite my clients and the women I work with, instead of being in that like fight response and just plow through it, do the regular loop of that
Mhm.
way of doing it, is transition into feeling instead. Another
Okay.
option, another F word, the fifth
Yeah,
option is, instead of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, feel.
that's
Feel
the
into your
hardest part.
body, take a breath, and
yeah.
maybe you'll feel that fire. Maybe you'll
Mm,
disconnection. Maybe you'll feel like, I actually don't know. Maybe I need to step away from everything and everybody, go for a 5-minute walk. But feeling is a way out of that autopilot response,
mm,
dramatic, like, or whatever, that autopilot thing that we're doing. And that gives us all of a sudden just a window and an opportunity to make a different choice. So it's
right, right.
awareness first, catching ourselves, awareness first, and
Mhm.
then regulating oneself with, let me go for a walk, let me breathe, and keep feeling my body. So once I'm a little more regulated, then I get to take a different choice and maybe say,
Right.
I'm not going to do the groceries right now. I'm going to get an Instacart membership, or, what Michelle and I are
Yeah.
doing now. I'm just going to get my meals delivered to me this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it different. Like, I either get some help, outsource it. Like, it's all doable, but prioritizing one's health for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I love the feel part of it because that's so true. Because you know when your body is
Mhm.
tense or struggling with, being overstimulated. See, there it is. I've already used it now, what, 2, 3 times. It's my favorite
Mhm.
word, it seems. But you do know, and if you allow your body to feel it, you and be able to give yourself grace to go out and take a walk, like you said, would
Mhm.
probably, I know it would help me, like definitely.
And
I'm
And
another
that's one of
regulating
the things
myself
that we
right now, walking down
Yes,
the
you
hall
are with your
or
streaming.
I'm frustrated with Wi-Fi. I'm like,
and that's one of the things we talk about at menopause, though, is exactly to your point, Marina. Like, women need a reasonable accommodation in the workplace, like taking that 5 minutes and being able to like compose themselves, work through that, feel, take those extra breaths, and not have a bunch of things coming at them. I mean, I know in my work environment, some days it will just be so chaotic that I will just shut down. Like I just shut down and I won't want to email and I don't talk to people. And it's just not a really healthy space. So I think that it's really important for women to be able to identify that, especially in the workplace.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's a really important point here because we override that. Like there's a
Yeah.
freeze response or something. And by default, again, we just took that route for 40, 50 years, override my
Mhm.
body,
Yeah.
on, put a smile on, nothing's
Mhm.
happening, and deny what I'm actually feeling, or we
Yeah.
don't even know how to meet our feelings. So maybe this can be a great segue, Michelle, if you want to chime into this, maybe like to talk into like maybe once I stepped away and I'm able to feel my body, I might feel anger. And am I actually able to feel my anger fully? And then the following step is what do I do with it?
What do I do with that is so
It pissed
mhm.
me off again. They've been doing this for a number of years, and it reminds me of my mom or dad or whoever.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like this layered cake all of a sudden. And what do I do with that then?
Well, and
Michelle, no pressure.
I want to bring up too that, like Raquel, what you were saying earlier of how we suppress anger over and over and over again in our body. Our body holds it, right? The body keeps the score. And
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
it's interesting that anatomically, our vocal cords look very similar to our vagina. And
Yes,
there's been
they
a
do.
lot of sexual abuse. Unfortunately, I don't know many women that haven't been sexually abused. And so then that is going to bring up anger eventually. I mean, we're holding it until we're ready to burst and we're ready to deal with what we haven't confronted in a very long time, especially all the women shutting down and not saying what's really challenging to talk about. And our mothers and our mothers' mothers were just like, nope, let's brush it under the rug, brush it under the rug. And there's a lot of women that are finally tapping into the rage and the anger of
Hmm.
what's surfacing. So
Oh, right.
go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then also, like, I have a father that was a preacher, and it was more of like, you don't say anything, honey, okay? I'm gonna preach the word of God. I'm gonna tell you what's going on here. And so just being small and getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and in that darkness of shame, which shame and guilt are two emotions that so many of us, I mean, no matter what your gender is, that we feel, and it comes in
Mhm.
different storylines. And so I feel like the anger and the rage is a part of that too, of when we're finally tapping into that shame that we've held on, whether it be through sexual abuse or any form of abuse or whatever that is, or we've held on to it, and now the tissues, the body is like, okay, it's time, let's release this. And I think anger can be such a powerful alchemizing force, and sacred anger, sacred rage, when we start to channel it. And when I went through my threshold 6 months ago of like any little thing, I would just go into rage. And my husband is very patient with me. I love him so much, going on this journey with me. But I started to channel it through writing and posting things on social media that were hard to talk about. And there was a lot of interaction. And then also forming Wise Women Ways. And it's like when we can channel that and turn lead to gold, like that's the alchemy of fire, then it's really empowering. But we were never taught how to use anger and rage. It was more like it's not okay. Men can feel anger and rage, but not women. It's not polite, right? But then when we actually learn, and I did not start out using anger and rage in a good way. I would scorch everyone around me. So I had to learn what not to do in order to learn what to do and how to channel it.
And it's weird too because I was this, really hot-headed and just like atypical personality. And it's funny when you come out and you're just like understanding. People are like waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're like, what? I
Yeah.
don't know what your problem
What's the
is.
problem?
I've worked on myself. Yeah, I've
I've
worked
done
on
the work.
myself. I've done the work. Yeah.
Not a me problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to
Yeah.
feel more anger and rage.
Yes. Yes. But it's so true because like even like Raquel mentioned, like in the workplace, like, if men, argue or yell or raise their voice, in the boardroom, they're powerful. If a woman does it, she's unhinged. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, what just
Hysterical.
happened? I just said the same thing that they did. You know what I mean? And it's just like how society looks at it. Like, you have to, always be like in control. And it's like, I am in control. I'm not unhinged. I'm just, and it's just like getting that out there too. Like I feel like, that's what
Mhm.
there are some other boundaries like in work and just in society, just
Yeah.
naturally. So it's like great that women can find community in with your coaching, Marina, and with, holistic wellness centers. The fact the more the merrier. Like you
Mhm.
build it, they will come, because like I think like everybody's like they're opening up the door like, okay, okay, we're in menopause. Can we come out? And they've realized they come out and everybody's accepted. It's not, you know,
Mm.
you don't have to hide anymore like, years ago. So that's what I'm hoping that this whole new age of menopause creates, like that we get back into that goddess
Mhm.
realm and the fact like we're, honored. And it's like
Mhm.
in Japan, they're the wise women and and here it's
I
changed.
mean,
So
I will admit, I know a lot more at 51 than I did at 21. I do want my little passage through. But for me, like, I just see it as having a voice in the room that doesn't look or come across as or perceived as like unhinged or hysterical or, any of those things that I would have been thought of or called or talked about at 21. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I have the same passion and I still have that same heat, but it just comes in a different format. Now I've learned to deal with that and I've learned where to put that and the right way to use it
Mhm.
rather than just like, like that's just never healthy for anything. So I think that's been a lot of my journey. It's just learning where to put that, how to use it and appropriately use it.
Did you ladies know the Greek root of hysteria is uterus, womb? I just learned that.
Good to know. Mary,
Yeah.
did you know that?
interesting. No, I did not, and she's asking me because I am Greek, but, I'm half Greek, but
No,
she
I
speaks
didn't
Greek.
fact check that, but it was on a post from someone that I follow. Well, in primal therapy, I think
Uh-huh.
it's so needed. And Marina, we've talked about rage rooms and we've both gone to rage rooms and you've also I
Yeah.
know you've facilitated some gatherings, right? With anger release for women.
Well, yeah, and that's what I wanted to chime in on is, again, we have this mentality in the West, it's like this quick pill is going to fix it all. Once the gates open to the menopause world, everybody else is going to it's going to be an easy entry, and
Yeah.
the
Right.
instruction
Yeah.
booklets are going to be
Yeah.
like, distributed. And it's like, no, there was no elevator to get there.
I missed that line.
Booklets are going to be distributed.
One day at a time, and we all have to do our own work, in our own homes, our life, our work. And so this rage or anger doesn't come out in these like sporadic times in the boardroom or with the kids that people would love the most and or the worst, the best and the worst times of our life. But if we can do it in micro habits of just
Mhm.
simple, like you took a breather, you tapped into some fiery emotion in your belly and you're like, "Ooh, there's an anger here about my boss and that reminds me of my dad actually. Let me journal on that later on
Yeah.
tonight. Let me catch that thread of like, where is that anger for me? And maybe I
Mhm.
can just do like a shamanic dance, like just put some drum music on, African
Mhm.
drums, and just shake it
Mhm.
out, like breath
Yeah.
work, just somatic shaking,
Mhm.
EFT tapping, just tapping whenever you're feeling triggered or you feel, sometimes like we feel that anger or that fire coiling in our belly slowly and we could feel
Mhm.
it building. Just tapping, a simple way of like
Right.
regulating your nervous system and say, you're okay. There's no
Yeah.
tiger that's running after you. It's not
Yeah.
like there's no
Right.
threat here. You're fine. So just doing the micro work, that's where I see we're building habits. We're taking care of our emotions. We're not sweeping stuff under the rug, waiting for
Mhm.
one day, once a year, I'm going to do this goddess retreat and we'll do the anger release. Like, no, it's a micro habit on a daily. And Michelle spoke to it so beautifully. The voice too, just humming and just taking a moment to like hum or sing or scream. but getting that out, whether we can say specifically what that anger is about, but maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe it's just a ha ha, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But it's energy that's just in motion, right? We're
Yeah.
no longer stuffing it, fawning with it, repressing
Mhm.
it. We're moving it. And that's what it's all about. So I'm a big believer in micro habits, and the more often the merrier, and just
Hmm.
Yeah.
dialing in these like micro habits on a daily. Like I feel triggered, I'm going to feel and go breathe and scream instead of
Right.
Yeah.
these
I
micro
think
And I
that's
think
moments.
that's
awesome.
the micro habits are a key to longevity, in my opinion. I mean, they really are. And just to add to your point, Marina, writing it actually brings it to the prefrontal cortex in your head. And for me, that gives it a place to go. So I have it on paper, and that then I don't think about it as hard as I used to, which is a really interesting science. I kind of looked a little bit into it, not enough to talk about it intelligently, but like for me, it works really well.
Well, just naming your feeling, like what are you feeling, just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. The
neurologically.
fear, just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
One thing that
reduces
I've been
anxiety.
doing that's so simple, and I learned this about book I was listening to on the vagus nerve and how the vagus nerve helps complete
Oh,
our
yeah.
cortisol cycles and it brings us back into rest and digest. But since we're so dopamine addicted and stimulated by the outside world, that vagus nerve is not, it can't be at the forefront anymore because we drown it out with noise. So then the thing like what Marina was saying with the humming, that's one way. It's like our internal sound healing, but just simply breath and those micro moments that Marina's talking about of when you inhale and take it in your belly and in your diaphragm and through your nose and then through your belly, and then exhale with a longer exhale. Just doing that throughout the day has been huge. And it is so simple, but it's
Yeah.
retraining our vagus nerve and to come back online and also to teach our bodies that we are our own sense of safety. We can create our own sense of safety.
Hmm.
And it's so easy for us to look outside of ourselves and say, that person's going to protect me and I'll only feel safe if this happens. Because, let's face it,
Yeah.
we live in a really scary world a lot of times. So then
Mhm.
just training
Mhm.
our bodies and communicating with it, and like what Marina's saying, naming the emotion that's coming up, but just that simple breath throughout the day is like, it's life changing. And it's not a forced exhale. It's more of just a,
Like a
Yeah.
release.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I learned at a yoga class years ago, like the box breathing. For me, like that's and so it's like I'm breathing, but I'm counting and it's all together. And you just sort of get into like this little meditative little, I don't know, I
I'm gonna
do.
put my warning on that, but I'll let you
Yes.
finish.
quiet, bringing
I
awareness.
was there with her warning.
Yeah, I tried the box breathing. I don't recommend it when you're nervous. Like, I wanna put that differentiating factor out there. Like, being anxiety ridden and nervous, 2 different things when you're doing that box breathing. I almost passed out in City Hall.
Yeah, exactly. Cause I'm like, just do box breathing. Just do it. I'm
Started
like
getting
talking to
small
her
and
in
dark.
my calming voice. And she was like, I think I'm gonna pass out. I was like, let's stop the box breathing.
Like, everything started getting smaller, and
Close
I'm
in.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's
And I'm
dark."
like,
You're like, "I'm
yeah.
So going forward, just do it when you have anxiety. Make sure you're sitting down. I mean, everybody's different, obviously.
Micro do it. I'm like, let's do the box breathing.
I
It'll
know.
help.
We have trained for
And
this.
we're
We've got the
trained
tool.
for this. We got this. I'm talking in like my like I do Reiki, so
The
I'm like
nurse
talking in
voice.
my Reiki voice. I'm like, you'll be fine. She was like, no, I'm gonna pass out. And I was like, let's stop the box breathing. Let's stop.
Jacket on, and it was just drenched. I was just like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. But I
So
do like everything
yeah, I
else
do
that we
love it.
talked about. Yeah,
We all find what works for us, right?
yeah.
Like, if I can just add one more thing here about the nervous system conversation right now, we hear a lot of nervous system regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that I think there's a misunderstanding about is when we're talking about a regulated nervous system, that it means that I'm calm and zen and I'm doing the yogic box breath. It's really
Right.
not. It's really not. Being regulated means that you're feeling your body, you're not disassociating, you're not in
Hmm.
fight freeze response, but you're
Hmm.
still in your body, but you can actually have an increased capacity for stress in life. So you can be in a playground with kids and dinners and serving and as leaders, we have to juggle and hold multiple things in one
Yeah.
Yeah.
event. So
Yeah.
what nervous system actually means is expanding my capacity to meet more life without abandoning my body.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
sometimes that means feeling really zen and amazingly quiet and harmonious. And sometimes that means, moving vigorously, having multiple conversations and still being really present and
That's
having
Perfect.
thank you
these
for
different
saying
tools in my back pockets.
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes it is
Yeah.
more breath. Maybe it is a scream that is a nervous system regulation practice. And sometimes
Yeah.
having multiple things, what calms us down and also what stimulates us, and
Mhm.
knowing how to move the energy and having the range of the tools versus one tool that's like,
No, that's true though. You're right. The toolbox is where it's at. I mean, just having a repertoire of things because like the box breathing didn't work for that scenario. So then it went into I don't even remember what we did next, but we did another like just stop and think about it I don't even remember. But we had other tools that we used.
Mhm.
And that's the something I didn't have at 21 and something I didn't even have at 30. I didn't even have that at 40. I'm going to be real honest. It took me a lifetime to learn what I know now. I don't know. I mean, I've been through quite a bit, like health wise for it, but I don't know that I would change it because I don't think that it would have broken me open the way that I
Mhm.
feel I'm broken open now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true. So if you can give one advice to the younger women out there for anything, menopause to help your nervous system, what would be the one advice that you would tell your younger self or a younger friend of this is what you need to do and this will help you through menopause and just through anger or anything? What would you say?
Well, I really love, Marina, what you just said, because
Hmm.
I think that it comes along with we're not doing it good enough. We're not
Yeah.
regulating.
That imposter syndrome.
And
Hmm.
so what I've learned over the years and have to practice every day, all day, is I have to meet myself where I am. And if I am angry and
Yeah.
need to burst into tears, then I can do that. I find the space to do that. If I'm feeling really joyful and ecstatic, I'm going to dance and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to connect with people. And if I'm feeling sad, then I'm just going to sit and feel sad. So rather
Hmm.
than distracting myself, just meeting myself where I am. That's what I would,
Hmm.
yeah, what I
That's
would tell
perfect.
my
I
inner
love that.
child that didn't know it was okay to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Marina, what would you say?
I would just say follow your like sacred yes, like your fuck yes in your body, being really connected to your feeling and your desires.
Yeah.
Because that's the essence is tap into your yes. What do you want? Professionally, romantically, physically, food wise, and just follow your yes and practice it as often as possible.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
It's going to take a little time to find those ladies, but it's in there. Believe
Yep.
us.
Yep, it is. It is.
You
Raquel,
know
what
it's
would be
there.
your advice?
Oh, I didn't know it was for me. I didn't think this through. Go ahead, Mare.
Well, I would say, okay, great. I would say, like you're also your true friends, like your
Yeah.
person that you
Your
have.
people.
Because I know just when Raquel was saying like do the box breathing, and we could laugh about it, and she's like, I'm gonna pass out. Just having to be able to look over and find your support and know that you're not being judged. You're not being, you have to find those friends. And we all know when you have that friend that is a true friend and the one that's like the surface friend, like the work friend, the surface ones. You see them in the supermarket, you're like, oh, hey. And you're like, bye,
You've got a ball cap on to avoid
but
most
yeah,
of them.
like trying not to make eye contact, but I would say
Swear.
like try to find, yeah, your true, like along with your true yes, like try to find your true tribe. Like find your tribe that will help support you when you fall. They'll pick you up. And
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Now
That
you've
For
had
me,
enough time now, Raquel.
I know
Now
now
what?
I've thought
Yeah.
it through. I think for me, it's know your worth. Just know your worth. I mean, at 21, I think I said it earlier. I didn't feel nearly as worthy and competent and able, although I know I have all the same knowledge except for, some life lessons along the way. Like I was smart enough, I was capable enough. I deserved to be in that room, and why I made myself feel like I didn't is beyond any comprehension I have, but here I am now, and I'm not gonna not take this opportunity again.
It's awesome. And see, those are what we will help these younger girls. We will help them.
One way or another.
Well, I
It's
have to say thank you. Girls, this has been just amazing. And I think that people will get a lot out of it, that it's not just, you have to find out where the rage is coming from.
yeah.
And you find out where it is, you deal with it, you learn how to take little micro steps along the way, and then regulation is at the end of the line. Like, it's at the tunnel, you can see the light, and I think that will help everybody. So that way you don't get upset when you hear somebody loudly chewing at the table next to you when you're out at a restaurant. You know, just trying to keep it real. Like,
Just go
you look
outside and
over at
breathe.
them.
Go outside and breathe. Okay.
Walk the building a few times. It's a twofer. You're walking off the food, you're getting the rage out,
You're-
you're moving some estrogen.
Rest and digest. You're digesting along the way, and then you come back in, you're like, oh, good, they're done their salad. So now I can sit back down.
Life can resume.
I can resume. Life can resume. Well, girls, thank you again. And I can't tell you enough how much we love this. And if everybody enjoyed this, as we tell our listeners, you can continue to follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and on YouTube. And
Yes.
we always like to give a shout out to our affiliates, which is Good Day Chocolate, Parlor Games,
Pantry product.
Pantry Products, Isogenics, and
Scene
Nutrition.
nutrition. Yes.
Which is, these are all products that we love and use because we won't lead you astray. And these are things that, if you hear it here first, go try and find it. And it's easy.
Believe us, we've tried it.
Yes, we have tried it. They're in our notes, and we will put your website of where you can tell us your website of where to find Holistic Wellness Center.
Yeah. Holistic with the WH. So WHOLISTIC wellnesscenter.org.
Perfect. And it's in Reno, and I really wish I was out there. I'm going to get frequent flyer miles
You sure are, girl.
eventually. Yes. But
Come on out.
like
Yeah.
we said, thank you again. And as Raquel and I like to always say, we will
We'll
see you
see you next Tuesday.
Tuesday.